Hey everybody, Ken Tripp from EXP here in Ottawa real estate agent in Ottawa, Ontario. And today we're meeting with Justin Murray, a local mortgage broker, one of the top producers in Ottawa. And we're just going to chat about what's happening in the market, what's going on, what we're seeing, and maybe how first-time homebuyers can succeed in this market. So Justin, welcome, man. Good to see you.
Hey, how are you?
Doing good, doing good. So let's dive right in, man. What's happening out there in this crazy market? Like, what do you see right now in Ottawa real estate? Like, what's shaking?
Yeah, so it was, I think in the last couple months, it was a little slower, but it's picked back up. Fixed rates have come down probably like about 0.4%. So that's kind of helped some buyers feel a little more comfortable, not only for the lower rates, but they get a sense that rates are coming down, and that's kind of showed that. So the variable rates are going to take some time, but it looks like the fixed rates have come down a good amount to kind of get people back into the market and at least get them interested and prepared to buy. I have, my application intakes a lot more higher than it was, let's say 2 months ago. That said, they might not be ready to buy right yet, but they're getting prepared to buy. And that's definitely the biggest difference I've seen in the last little bit.
Yeah, I'm seeing that as well. There's a lot more confidence right now than there was like in the fall that kind of went away a little bit. Now it's kind of coming back. And like you said, even if they're not willing to do anything right now, they're not looking to close before the end of the year. I get the sense there's a lot more people lining themselves up for like Q1 2024, getting ready to make something happen.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think there's people still need to buy and live in houses. So if you're a first-time home buyer that, is ready to make that move, they're probably just waiting to see how the market played out a little bit. And like you said, now they have that confidence to at least get the pre-approval ready, know where they stand, and be able to jump on something if they see it right away, or if it takes a month or two to find something, they're willing to do that. But there is an appetite to buy, I think, again. And it's maybe not for everyone, but more and more each kind of week, there seems to be a little more people interested. Yeah.
Yeah. So like first timers, since we're talking about those, like those guys were the ones that kind of I found sat down a little bit over the last quarter. Rates got a little too high, affordability got a little suspect, and it kind of was like everyone just kind of sat back and said, okay, I'm going to wait for this to cool off and ride it out. And now that everything's stabilized and it's starting to maybe come down, I see a lot more applications coming by. Like I get a lot more leads myself from first-time home buyers that are starting to explore. So like, what are 2 or 3 things that, like, if I'm a first-time home buyer, I'm looking to get a mortgage, I've never done it before, what's like 2 or 3 things to make sure that like I've got this to make it easy? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like just to make sure that I'm doing this in a way that's going to be as easy as possible. So if I'm a first-time home buyer, I'm connecting with you for the first time.
I would never pressure anyone to buy, but I would say if you haven't got pre-approved, it makes the biggest thing is to get pre-approved, because that's just basically a checkup for what you're able to do. The last thing you would want is to find a house that you like, then get pre-approved and realize, your credit's not there or your buying power is not there for whatever reason. So
and there's things you could have done, right, to fix that before, right? You could have you got to that point where you're like, damn, I could have fixed it. Now the house is gone, right? If they talk to you in advance.
Exactly. It's happened one big time where their credit was just not where they needed to be, and I tried to get them pre-approved and go through that process till they saw a house that they absolutely loved, and then their emotions go off and they're like, okay, we want this, and their credit was it was dinged up, and had they come to me 2-3 months in advance, we could have cleared that up no problem, and it would have been a lot easier. So they ended up buying a house, but it wasn't that specific one because we needed a little extra time. Right. So that's a big thing there. And then once we do that pre-approval and checkup, credit's a big thing. So keeping your credit cards below that 50% mark, if you can, of your total limit, keep your balance below that, because that hurts your credit. And then as you have more payments, obviously qualify for less. Each situation is different, but yeah. Sure. Also, the other big one is adding that big car payment. I've seen it hurt people's purchasing power tremendously, especially if you're on that, first-time home buyer, lower income. Car payment can really affect that. So the pre-approval, your credit balance versus the limit, and buying a car or a big purchase that goes on debt before actually buying a house are 3 major things you should worry about before.
And is there a difference? So someone told me once that there was a difference between like a bank pre-approval and like a mortgage broker pre-approval. Like if I just walk into a major bank and go, hey, I want to get pre-approved, and they say, yeah, you're pre-approved for X. That's not as solid as if I go to you, right? And
no,
say, like,
no, exactly. Yeah. So for what I do, I get all the documents up front. I'll give a list of all the documents you need for a purchase and then highlight the ones you need for a pre-approval. So think of job letter, pay stub, T4s, and then obviously if your job is a little more trickier, there's some extra docs as well. But I verify those docs along with the application, send it into my lender. They do a quick review as well. And then if everything matches, once I do that application and review, then that is more of a hard pre-approval, and then you're ready for offers right away too. So it kind of clears that, up front, a little more work up front to do a better job on the back end. And then from there, what I always say to my clients, this is a big thing that's actually helped win a lot of houses in the crazy market when every little dollar mattered. I would always have any listing that my clients are interested in, they always send me the listing before making an offer. And because of property taxes, obviously pre-approval has a higher interest rate. So if rates have come down or just the standard rate that's lower than the pre-approval, that will gain you more purchasing power. So I'll actually tailor what they can afford for that specific house on every house that they want to make an offer on. Typically you see like 10, maybe 15,000 extra dollars of mortgage that you're able to get. And whenever there was, 20 offers on houses, that has won, there's probably 5-6 times I can remember that really helped win offers. So I think that's super important.
That's good advice. And then one thing you just mentioned is getting them to send a listing to you. So that kind of goes into my next question. I'm an agent, right?
Yeah.
What can agents do to make your life easier? I know mortgage brokers are always like, agents and mortgage brokers work together, but not really. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like we are in the same business, but like we don't always know. Like most agents don't know all the bullshit that like mortgage brokers have to deal with in the background, all the stuff you guys are doing that we don't know about. We're just like, hey, send the offer to your broker, get it approved, send me my approval, man. I got to waive these conditions. That's like the whole thing, right?
100%. Yeah.
So like if I'm an agent, like what are like 2 or 3 things like that, sending a listing to you to make your life easier?
If you could send listings to me for your clients, just make it so they don't have to. And then I'll give you and them what the max purchasing power is for that specific house. I think that goes a long way, because if you can win more offers and make your clients happier, that's a huge deal, I think. And then something else is just on the back end, especially if you have conditions of financing, send all the documents, including the deposit check, deposit receipt, all that stuff right away. So I can just include that into my down payment history, because the down payment history is the one that usually takes, it's the toughest for clients, just because, you need to get 90 days. Sometimes they aren't sure on how to do that. So I walk them through that. But to get that done is usually the most difficult part, because everyone already have their job letter, their T4s, their pay stubs. So I'm just submitting that. And then it's just that 90-day history is the main hurdle that you need to get around once you have those. Let's say you have a condition of financing. So
and obviously these days we're still putting in conditions. Like it's not like 2021. We're back to putting finance conditions. Like what are the banks still kind of slow? Are they still like, what do you see? You still need like a good amount of time we're doing if I'm putting an offer in?
Yeah. I mean, I like if you can get time, why not, and use it? Sure. But typically I can get an approval depending on the deal, right? Like if it's just a standard purchase, right, everything's regular, I can get an approval back within a day with one lender for sure that I tend to work with, and then they work the docs very, very quickly. We have our own underwriter to underwrite the file plus to handle the documents, so it makes it an easy process, because that certain underwriter knows exactly what's going on all parts of the deal. There's not miscommunication or anything like that. So I do have a tricky file that's gone on since Friday. Today's Wednesday, and it's sitting with risk twice. But that is a higher risk file that not everyone will do. So you understand that. They understand that as well. But that's not typical in our space right now. Whenever it's super busy, back a couple of years ago, it was, maybe about 48 hours till you get an approval. But the thing is, you have constant communication with your mortgage agent. Typically the banks are handling way more clients at once, and they're hard to get a hold of. What I've noticed, I've won, even this year, I've won a couple of deals just because the bank doesn't really get back to them.
So if I'm a first time buyer, then I'm like, make sure I reach out to you as soon as possible. Yeah. Right. Get a solid idea of like either, okay, you're good to go right away, or there's 4 or 5 things I got to do in the next 90 days to make sure that I'm ready for when I go shopping. And then once I'm inside that 90 days, then it's like, make sure my credit card balances are low, make sure I'm not making any big purchases, make sure I've got some savings and I've got a roadmap for that down payment, right? Like it's been in a bank account for 90 days, get all that stuff sort of out of the way is kind of what I'm hearing.
Yeah, exactly. Just don't do anything crazy. Just, live life regular till you get that house. And then if if there's room and you feel you can do some other stuff, like get a new car, like be reasonable with it, but then you could do what you'd like on that. But
house first, car second, always, right?
Always. I had one friend who waited on, when I first started, so I was green at this and I just said, listen, you want to buy houses, like just keep your car that you've already paid off. And he ended up getting a new house. He went from a condo. The next year he bought a duplex. Next year he bought his forever home. And that would have been way more difficult had he bought a car during that time. It just makes the ratios that much tougher, especially now too. Every little dollar counts because, rates are high and people qualify for less. So,
then he's got a duplex. He can use the duplex to pay for the car. Come on.
Exactly. So it's just how you approach that. And, that's, I have clients that go through that process and they, end up with 2 houses or 3 houses after 2 or 3 years, and they're super happy. Lenders have changed their rental worksheets to allow a little more if you can get proper renter. It's a little more difficult with the rates being high, but as they come down, I think we'll see more of that, of people turning their first home into a rental to buy, their next home that there's their forever home, let's say.
Yeah. No, that's a whole other conversation. We're going to have to do that one next week.
Yeah.
Okay. So just wrapping it up, what do you see? We're like, but I don't know when this is going to be put out there, but we're almost in the first week of December.
Yeah.
So we're closing out 2023. What do you see happening between like now and like Q1 of 2024?
I don't think you're going to see variable rates go down, but I think you might see fixed rates kind of hold still or potentially go down. And then so that will be good because, that 3-year fix, if that could get into the 5s, that's going to make a lot of people happy. And then, for those people that are first-time home buyers that are comfortable with just making payments, if you're in the low 5s, it makes a big difference from being in the high 5s, just for your payment and affordability. So I think we're going to kind of just we're going to get more into lower rates over time, but it's not going to be quick, but if you think about it, by the end of next year, rates should be a good amount lower, and that's only a year. So if you think about it in a year's time, that's pretty good timeline for me. I think a fair timeline.
Yeah, it's not that long. It's not as long as
exactly. So, and if you're buying, if you're getting a pre-approval now, or come the new year, you're probably closing within maybe 4 months out, by the time you find a place and close. So I think you're going to see those rates come down in that time. Even now, someone that's purchased a month and a half ago, I already have them lower rates. So that will kind of, I think, just continue slowly. And by the end of the next year, you'll be, I think, happy where the rates are.
Amazing. That's good stuff, man. So people want to get a hold of you. How do they reach you?
jmurray@keyrate.com. Keyrate, and be happy to just help and answer any questions that you have and kind of guide you through the process and make it as easy as possible.
Amazing. What's your Instagram?
Keyrate Mortgages, Ottawa.
Love it.
Find me there. See these videos there as well.
Yeah, they'll be up there. Right on, man. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Cheers.
Talk to you soon.
Awesome. Bye.
Right on.